Can I just begin by acknowledging the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, the traditional owners of the land on which we stand. Can I thank all of the sponsors and in particular CEDA and Cole Dutton for their welcome, to Rob who introduced me. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, my Treasurer Ben Wyatt, it is terrific to be here today to provide some overview remarks before Ben provides you with the main course. When we arrived in office, what happens is this: you get briefings, and Treasury came, and the Under-Treasurer is here today, Michael Barnes. They came to my office with the Treasurer. They provided us with a 2-hour or so briefing on the state of Western Australia. I heard this briefing, and it was dire. And so I said to the Treasury officers, you need to come to the first formal Cabinet meeting and you need to provide that briefing to the Cabinet. And so that's what happened. The first item of business on the agenda for the new Cabinet at its first formal meeting was a full briefing by the Treasury officers on the state of the finances in Western Australia. Now, I understand this is not unique, but what was unique was the scale and extent of the financial issue confronting Western Australia. And I know Treasury is renowned for always saying things are bad, but in this case they're actually telling the truth. So they came along, and the Cabinet sat and listened and saw the PowerPoint presentation, which was extreme, the situation that we confronted. My opening comments to the Cabinet, I know Winston Churchill and all these people have turns of phrase, but my opening comments, my first words to the Cabinet, my first formal words as Premier of Western Australia, involved the word sandwich, and how we had inherited a sandwich of some magnitude, and it was up to us to understand that our term in government, for however long it went, would be dealing with this sandwich that we had inherited. And it would be something that would dog us for our term, whether it's 1, 2, 3 or 4 terms in office. It would dog us for that period of time because dealing with what confronted us was so extraordinary. So post that first Cabinet meeting, Ben as Treasurer established, and myself established the ERC process, Expenditure Review Committee process. And it's a very formal process and it's traditional. And I think that tradition had been missing for some period of time. And so we had ministers have to come and present if they want new money spent. And each minister has to come present on what they wanted as part of the budget. And Treasury, very professional organisation, produced options for the government on what could be done to arrest the situation. And so what you saw after that process that went on for some months, relentless gruelling process, virtually a couple of meetings a week, massive folders of information, was the culmination yesterday with the budget that was handed down by the Treasurer. And the budget that was handed down yesterday, we aimed to deal with the situation that we've been left, whilst getting the balance right about still providing opportunities for growth, employment and the like, and delivering the election commitments that we made. You saw $3.5 billion worth of budget repair measures. You saw predicted economic growth of 3%. You saw delivery of a whole range of election commitments, whether it's infrastructure or funding for tourism or innovation or agriculture or defence to create jobs in Western Australia, the continuation of decent services in health and education, tackling the meth crisis confronting Western Australia. And it's always about balance. And what's interesting, and you probably aren't aware of this, but on budget day at Parliament House, the Treasurer delivers his speech at 2. Meanwhile, in what's called the Fern Garden out the side of Parliament House, the press set up, and there's a bank of TV cameras, microphones and the like, and then there's a line of people with an interest in the budget who line up to provide commentary to the press. We used to refer to it in opposition as a conga line. And there's a conga line of interest groups, business, unions, non-government organisations out the side there of Parliament House who line up to provide their grab to the press. The negative grabs get on the news, the positive grabs disappear into the ether. I was almost tempted to go out. I'm so used to going out there and saying something. I was thinking I better go out there and say something, but then remembered who I was. I better restrain myself. Couldn't go out there and attack the budget, considering it's ours. But there was a series of commentary. And you might have noted there was some criticism from elements, some people from business, with criticism of some of the measures. There was criticism from some elements of the union movement of the budget. Now, you always want to get balance in life, but if you're seeking indication of we got the balance right, I think that was an indication we got the balance right. We've actually put in place a whole range of budget repair measures. We've made sure it's shared across the broader West Australian community, so it's not just hitting one section overall. We want everyone to take responsibility for repairing the situation we were confronted with, and also dealing with the $5 billion in revenue write-downs that have occurred since April. I think it's incumbent now on the Parliament to pass the measures, and I'd urge our political opponents to take responsibility in that regard, to assist in fixing the situation that was largely created over the last 8 or 9 years. And so that's the message that we have. We've got balance, we're sharing the burden across the community, we want to continue to create jobs and opportunities. Everyone needs to share in the fix, and the Parliament itself, across the board, including the opposition, need to take responsibility for assisting the people and the government of Western Australia to get our state out of the situation it's in. Now, I know Ben's getting an introduction, but we have in Ben Wyatt a fantastic treasurer. A very, very bright young man. I can hear him speaking, he's just agreeing with me, I think. Very, very bright young man, accomplished, talented, extraordinarily capable speaker, very formidable political figure, very likeable human being as well. So very lucky as a state, I'm very lucky as Premier of the state to have someone of his calibre in that position, and he and I work together and speak together virtually on a daily basis, which is as it should be. So thank you very much, everyone. There's my overview. I think someone's going to introduce Ben in a moment. Thanks so much, everyone, for coming along today.